virus.
Nathan,
or I might
please
say
everybody except for Nathan, Medina. Stuart, please face cam. Video? No. Thank you, Frank.
Oh no, it's video.
All right, ready? And you can start.
Okay, so we wanted to put half of the money towards diseases and half for forensics. Nathan, and it's by us. By you. And our jokes, my joke. I think we're being stalked.
My joke is the guy saying, "Left a ton of DNA samples everywhere," and he's like, "Because forensics and criminals leaving DNA."
And
Swag.
then cloning Loud directory saying that he's everywhere because he's being cloned and he's everywhere.
And then for genetic engineering, someone always has to suffer. Or sometimes they might have to suffer when you're getting diseases for a certain disease.
So our first topic is why forensics. When forensics uses DNA, it's used to find possible suspects, which then police can use probability to narrow down and then bring them to justice. The next is that it's also safer than going around door to door with a gun saying that if you're the criminal and then you realize that this is impractical. It's easy because DNA is found everywhere. So if you search for DNA and then you just like DNA and put it through the computer. And then my biblical integration is Luke 23:33 in the NIV version. When they come to the place called the skull, they crucified him there, along with the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. Which means it's the final stage of when you catch a criminal there.
So, why diseases? Well, diseases, you can help cure some diseases. And you can see what kind of disease you have as soon as you're born. And overall, you can just find new diseases in people that maybe no one has ever found before, a new disease. And then my biblical integration is 1 Peter 2:24. He himself bore our sins in his body on the tree, that we might die to sin and live to righteousness. By his wounds you have been healed.
Okay, I'm pretty passionate about this one, and it's why not anything genetically modified food, because it can make your metabolism change in a bad way, and it changes the growth rate, and it changes external environment, and it can make you sick, and it kills bees when they pollinate the flowers. And the biblical integration is Exodus 23:16. Also, you shall observe the feast of the harvest of the first fruits of your harvest from what you sow in the field. Also, the feast of the ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in the fruit of the foliage from the field. I put that in there because they said to sow your own fields and not to put stuff in your fruit. And yeah. Oh, and my picture is an avocado watermelon, and that's bad.
Avocado melon.
You should not be eating avocado melons.
Avocado melons. To the moon.
Why not cloning? Because it can be harmful to your body if done wrong. And it doesn't pose as a necessity for the world right now. And to clone yourself or something that you love can be very expensive. And if you clone an older organism to a younger one, it can age and die faster. And if not successful, it can be the loss of that organism. And my biblical integration is John 3:4-6. Nicodemus said to him, "How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb and be born?" Jesus answered, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. And then my pictures are, the upside of cloning is watch out there, little buddy, you can be replaced. So if he does bad things, they can clone him. And then the true horrors of cloning is really small because we didn't have space. It says, "Good Lord, I really sound like that. I look so fat from behind. Stop slouching, stand up straight." So he's seeing himself and telling the real things bad about him.
Just a couple of pros and cons of forensics. One of them is that forensics is good for finding where people have been using DNA. And then also, it gives a strong lead on how to find criminals. And our con is, we were all waiting for this one, and you guys were. Modern technology isn't precise, which means which means sometimes when the computer is scanning DNA, it finds many profile citizens, making it hard to narrow them down. Sometimes when DNA is scanned, the owner of the DNA is not profiled in the FBI database. In this case, forensics would be rendered useless.
And here's some pros and cons about testing for diseases. Some pros would be that it eliminates some uncertainty about your health. And you're already going to know the data at birth, says Arthur Duda, a pediatrician and head of human genetics at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston. But some cons are that it could make people sad when they find out like they have a deadly disease and they only have a couple days to live. And Illumina, I guess it's one company that does testing for diseases, currently charges $9,500 to sequence the genome of an adult. And so far, attempts to sequence fetal DNA have cost much more. And then there are still technical problems. The fetal genome results are still not accurate enough for making this diagnosis.
These are our sources, and this is our inside.
Okay, so the picture in the corner is of cloning, and then diseases in the middle, and then GMOs in the corn, and then forensics, and then this one I put in for another GMO because we liked it. It says Hungry Man Frankenfood Frozen Dinner. It says genetically modified triple MSG, which is
They
a
don't put.
FDA approved. It says promotes excessive brain tumors and premature death. Box raised tortured chicken with tasty GM corn, tomato, and trout genes. Snail broccoli, human genes, and spliced potatoes. And microwavable for added carcinogen.
Sounds good.
Let's give this group a hand.
I'll take 7.